Most men think attraction begins with clever lines, good looks, or the perfect moment. But the truth is far simpler and far more powerful. Attraction begins the moment a woman feels your presence. Presence is not about staring intensely or trying to look confident. It's about the quality of attention you bring into the moment. When you are fully present with someone, they feel seen, heard, and valued. And for many women, that alone is more influential than anything you could ever say. In a world where most people are distracted, rushed, or half listening, genuine presence feels rare, almost magnetic. It immediately sets you apart from every man who interacts with her from a place of insecurity or autopilot behavior. Presence begins with stillness. Not physical stillness, but inner stillness. The ability to quiet the noise in your mind long enough to truly engage with her. When a man is calm inside, a woman senses it instantly. She relaxes, she opens up, she becomes more expressive, more comfortable, more herself. This is why presence works. It creates emotional safety. Not the boring kind of safety, but the kind that lets her feel feminine, playful, and receptive. And you achieve this not by trying to impress her, but by simply being fully in the moment. Being present also means listening without planning your next move. Too many men listen only to respond, or they listen with an agenda, hoping to steer the conversation toward confession, flirting, or validation. But a woman can detect that energy immediately. Presence is when you listen with curiosity, not strategy. You notice her tone, her expressions, her excitement, her pauses. You're not trying to get something from her. You're simply connecting. That shift alone changes how she perceives you. It moves you out of the friend zone without you having to say anything bold or risky. Your eyes communicate presence too. Not staring, not inspecting, but observing with calm interest. When you maintain soft, steady eye contact, it signals confidence and comfort with yourself. It shows you're not flustered or intimidated. This creates a powerful subconscious reaction in her mind. She begins to feel more feminine in response to your grounded masculine energy. The conversation becomes more dynamic because she feels emotionally held, even in silence. Presence also shows up in your voice. A present man speaks slower, with intention. He doesn't rush his words, doesn't fill every gap with nervous chatter. Silence doesn't scare him. This tells her that you are a man who doesn't need approval, who doesn't seek validation, who is perfectly fine being himself. And that type of energy is rare. It sparks curiosity. It makes her wonder why you feel so different from other men she knows. Finally, presence isn't something you perform. It's something you embody. You turn it on by grounding yourself, breathing calmly, and choosing to engage fully. When a woman feels that level of attention and energy from you, even for a few minutes, it creates a shift inside her. Attraction begins not because of what you did, but because of who you became in that moment. Presence is the spark, and once she feels it, she won't forget it. Confidence isn't loud, flashy, or exaggerated the way many men think it is. Real confidence lives in calmness. It's the energy of a man who doesn't need to prove anything, rush anything, or force anything. When you're calm, you show a woman that you trust yourself, that you're comfortable in your own skin, and that you're not trying to win her approval. And this is exactly why calm confidence is so attractive. It communicates strength without saying a word. Most men get anxious around women they like. Their voice speeds up, their gestures become stiff, and their energy becomes scattered. A woman can feel this instantly, and it makes her feel like she has to take the lead emotionally, which kills attraction. But a calm, grounded man does the opposite. He slows the moment down. He controls the tempo of the interaction simply by controlling his own energy. Calmness shows up first in the way you speak. When you talk with a relaxed pace without rushing your words, it signals that you don't feel pressured to impress. You're not trying to fill every silence, and you're not afraid of pauses. A man who is comfortable with silence is a man who is comfortable with himself. This quiet power creates a sense of mystery. It makes her curious. She starts leaning in, not physically always, but emotionally, because she feels like there's something deeper behind your presence. Your tone becomes more grounded, your words carry more weight, and even simple statements feel intentional and meaningful. Your body language also transforms when you're calm. Your shoulders stay relaxed, your movements become smoother, your posture improves naturally. You're no longer fidgeting, overreacting, or adjusting yourself nervously. This physical calmness shows her that you're not overwhelmed by her presence, and that makes her feel at ease in yours. Women read body language faster than men do. They instantly pick up on your internal state through micro behaviors, the way you breathe, the way you stand, the way you turn your head when she speaks. When your body communicates calm confidence, it creates an emotional environment where she can open up and feel playful, comfortable, and more feminine. Another part of calm confidence is emotional control. You're not easily thrown off by small things. You're not reactive. You don't get irritated, jealous, or flustered over trivial moments. When she tests you, and all women test unconsciously, you respond with stable energy instead of defensiveness or insecurity. A man who stays grounded, even in small moments of tension, becomes incredibly attractive because he shows he can handle life without falling apart. This stability is something women subconsciously look for in a partner or someone they can feel drawn to. Calmness also shows that you're present. You're not thinking 10 steps ahead, panicking about what to say next, or playing mental chess in your head. You're actually experiencing the moment with her. That kind of presence makes her feel like she's talking to a man who is in control. Not controlling her, but controlling himself. And that is one of the rarest forms of masculine energy. It doesn't matter if you're tall, short, wealthy, or average looking. A calm, grounded man instantly stands out. When a woman feels your calmness, her guard lowers. She feels safe, seen, and intrigued. And that combination is what creates attraction without you ever needing to try hard. Most men underestimate the power of authenticity because they're too busy trying to be who they think a woman wants. They rehearse clever lines, exaggerate their achievements, or pretend to be more confident than they really are. But women are incredibly intuitive. They pick up on emotional signals long before words register. When a man is performing, she feels it. When he is hiding parts of himself, she senses it. When he is trying too hard, she becomes uncomfortable. Authenticity, on the other hand, creates instant emotional connection because it shows truth, realness, and trustworthiness. It tells her, "This is who I am, and I'm not afraid to show it." And that level of openness without being desperate or oversharing is magnetic. Authenticity starts with honesty about your intentions and your personality. Not confessing feelings prematurely, but expressing yourself without filtering everything through fear. When a man speaks naturally, without calculating every word, it puts a woman at ease. She doesn't have to guess his motives or decode hidden meanings. She can relax into the interaction because it feels real. You're not performing for her approval. You're sharing who you genuinely are. That alone creates more attraction than any scripted charm ever could. Another part of authenticity is emotional transparency, not vulnerability in a dramatic way, but the ability to show your reactions without masking them. If something is funny, you laugh. If something surprises you, you show it. If you appreciate something about her, you say it in a natural, unforced way. This level of openness shows you're emotionally confident. Most men hide their reactions out of fear of looking weak or too interested. But a man who is secure enough to express what he genuinely feels shows strength, not softness. Women gravitate towards men who can express without overexposing, who can feel without collapsing, who can open up without expecting anything in return. Authenticity also means embracing your imperfections instead of pretending to be flawless. Women don't want perfect men. They want real ones. When you're comfortable enough to laugh at yourself, admit when you don't know something, or share a humble piece of your story, it humanizes you. It makes you relatable. It makes her feel like she can be herself around you too. And that emotional permission creates chemistry faster than any clever tactic ever could. Another powerful aspect of authenticity is the way you give compliments. Most men give generic, surface-level comments that feel empty and rehearsed. Authentic compliments, however, hit deeper because they come from genuine perception. Maybe you appreciate her sense of humor, the way she explains something, her passion for a topic, or the warmth in her voice when she talks about people she loves. When you observe and then speak from truth, your words mean something. They don't come across as manipulation. They come across as connection. Finally, authenticity builds trust. A woman can only feel attraction when she feels safe being herself, and authenticity creates that environment. She doesn't worry about hidden intention or emotional games. She doesn't feel judged or evaluated. Instead, she feels seen and understood. When a man is real, she allows herself to be real. And in that shared space of honesty, attraction grows naturally, effortlessly, and rapidly. Authenticity isn't just attractive, it's unforgettable. Self-possession is one of the most powerful forms of quiet attraction a man can radiate. Yet most men never develop it because they're too focused on trying to read a woman's reactions instead of owning their own presence. Self-possession means you are comfortable within yourself, your thoughts, your body, your energy, your identity. It means you don't shrink to make others comfortable, and you don't inflate yourself to look important. You carry a steady, grounded energy that tells the world, I am enough as I am. Women sense this instantly, and it changes the entire dynamic of how they react to you. When a man is self-possessed, he becomes a stabilizing force in any environment, and that natural stability is deeply attractive. Your body language is the first signal of self-possession. A man who is comfortable with himself moves with ease, not stiffness. His posture is relaxed but upright, not forced or puffed up. His gestures are intentional instead of nervous. He doesn't fiddle with objects, shift anxiously, or constantly adjust his clothing. His physical presence communicates that he belongs wherever he is, and he doesn't need permission to exist confidently. This kind of energy makes a woman feel like she can relax into the moment because she's interacting with someone who isn't a prisoner of insecurity or overthinking. Self-possession also shows in how you handle your emotions. You don't react impulsively or defensively. You don't get thrown off by a teasing remark, a challenge, or a moment of awkwardness. Instead, you stay centered. When a woman jokingly tests you, a self-possessed man smiles, responds playfully, or simply doesn't take the bait. He doesn't crumble under pressure nor overcompensate with arrogance. This emotional steadiness is incredibly attractive because it shows maturity, security, and strength. Women feel safe around a man who cannot be easily rattled. Another part of self-possession is how you communicate. A man who is comfortable with himself doesn't rush to fill silence or desperately try to keep a conversation alive. He lets the moment breathe. He speaks with intention, not desperation. When he shares something, he says it clearly and calmly without needing validation. When he disagrees, he does so respectfully and confidently, instead of folding to avoid conflict. This independence of thought shows her that you have a solid internal world, a mind and identity that are not easily swayed by external approval. Self-possession is also reflected in how you respond to attention. Most men either chase it or get overwhelmed by it. A self-possessed man does neither. He appreciates attention but doesn't cling to it. He enjoys connection but doesn't depend on it. This balance shows high value not because he plays games, but because he genuinely sees himself as whole, whether or not someone else is validating him. And when a woman sees that you don't need her to feel complete, she becomes more curious, more engaged, and more drawn in. Ultimately, self-possession creates a powerful shift in your presence. You stop trying to earn attraction and begin commanding it naturally. Women feel more feminine, more open, and more interested around a man who is rooted in himself. It's not about dominance or trying to impress. It's about being so grounded in who you are that your energy does the work for you. Masculine certainty is one of the rarest and most attractive qualities a man can possess, not because it is loud or forceful, but because it communicates clarity. Clarity of who you are, what you value, and how you move through the world. Most men are uncertain. They doubt themselves, second-guess their words, and rely on others to define their worth. Women feel that uncertainty instantly. But when a man carries himself with certainty, everything about him becomes more compelling. His presence feels stronger. His words land deeper. His energy invites connection without demanding it. Masculine certainty doesn't mean being arrogant or controlling. It means being rooted in yourself in a way that naturally shifts the dynamic of any interaction. A man with masculine certainty knows what he wants, but he doesn't chase or pressure. He acts with intention, not desperation. When he speaks with purpose. When he listens fully. When he makes decisions, he does so with confidence instead of hesitation. This clarity of action creates a sense of direction that many women find naturally attractive because it signals leadership and strength. Not leadership over her, but leadership over your own life. Women are drawn to men who move with purpose, who embody direction, who show through their actions that they are not afraid to live boldly. Masculine certainty also changes how you respond emotionally. Instead of being easily triggered, offended, or thrown off, you remain grounded. You don't take teasing personally. You don't panic if the conversation slows down. You don't crumble if she's a bit distant for a moment. A man who is certain of himself stays steady regardless of the emotional climate around him. This steadiness creates a sense of reliability, which makes her feel safe exploring more feminine energy, openness, playfulness, curiosity, and warmth. A woman can only relax into her natural polarity when she's with a man whose energy is firm, not fragile. This certainty also shows in your boundaries. A man with masculine certainty doesn't tolerate disrespect, but he also doesn't act possessive or reactive. He knows what he deserves, what he's willing to accept, and what he will walk away from. This self-respect elevates your value without you needing to prove anything. Women instinctively respect men who respect themselves because it shows you're not seeking validation, you're offering presence. And presence without neediness is rare. Another part of masculine certainty is emotional clarity. Many men suppress their emotions or overexpress them in bursts. But a man with certainty feels deeply while staying composed. He can express appreciation, interest, or desire with confidence instead of fear. He doesn't hide his intentions behind layers of jokes or sarcasm. He communicates straightforwardly without pressure. This level of honest, grounded expression creates attraction because it feels safe, mature, and refreshing. Ultimately, masculine certainty isn't something you perform. It's something you embody. It comes from knowing yourself, trusting yourself, and standing firm without needing to convince anyone. When a woman feels this energy from you, she responds automatically. Her guard lowers, her curiosity rises, her attraction awakens. Masculine certainty isn't about dominating a moment. It's about owning your presence so fully that the moment naturally bends around you. Attraction is often misunderstood because so many men focus on external actions: what to say, how to behave, how to impress, how to stand out. But real attraction doesn't begin with her at all. It begins with you. It begins with the version of yourself you bring into the moment. Women aren't attracted to tactics, they're attracted to energy. They don't fall for lines, they fall for presence. And they don't respond to a man trying to turn them on. They respond to a man who has turned himself on, meaning he's activated his strength, confidence, purpose, and self-worth. When your internal state shifts, your entire vibe changes, and she feels that shift instantly, often before you even say a word. When a man seeks validation, he unconsciously gives away his power. He waits for her reactions, tries to predict her thoughts, and tailors his behavior to avoid rejection. This makes his energy feel unstable, needy, or inconsistent. Women instinctively pull back from this kind of energy because it signals uncertainty. But when a man builds attraction from within, he no longer behaves from a place of fear. Instead of trying to be chosen, he shows up as someone who already chooses himself. This subtle difference completely transforms how she perceives you. You stop analyzing her and begin embodying yourself. Attraction grows when a man is aligned with his identity, not an exaggerated version of masculinity, but his authentic, grounded self. This alignment means you trust your instincts, you speak from truth, you move with intention, and you don't apologize for existing. You value yourself enough to not settle for crumbs, chase for approval, or shrink to avoid judgment. When you carry that internal strength, women feel it. They sense that your value doesn't depend on their reaction. Paradoxically, this independence makes them far more curious about you. Another aspect of internal attraction is emotional stability. When your emotions are rooted, not suppressed, not chaotic, you create an energetic field that feels safe, warm, and inviting. A stable man radiates predictability, not in a boring way, but in a dependable one. He is not easily shaken by mood swings, tests, or awkward moments. This steadiness makes him feel like a rock in a world full of emotional turbulence. And women gravitate toward that kind of grounding influence because it allows them to lean into their softness without fear of instability. When attraction comes from within, your interactions naturally improve. You listen more clearly because you're not worried about saying the perfect thing. You speak more confidently because you're not filtering your personality. You hold eye contact with ease because you're not intimidated by her presence. You joke more freely, express more calmly, and walk away more confidently, all because your sense of self is intact. This internal strength is what sparks curiosity, comfort, and chemistry. Ultimately, attraction isn't something you trigger in her, it's something she feels when you elevate yourself. It's the byproduct of self-respect, self-awareness, and self-worth. When a man turns on his inner power, his calmness, certainty, authenticity, and presence, a woman naturally responds. She doesn't feel pressured, she feels drawn. She doesn't feel tested, she feels intrigued. Attraction begins within you, and once you unlock that version of yourself, the world doesn't just notice, it gravitates toward you.